Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or good day wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the next episode of No Dice, No Glory. Sponsored by our jobs that actually pay us money, we're coming to you not at all live from an abandoned arms factory deep under a mountain in West Virginia. We are proud to proffer to you the finest in wargaming coverage. Without any further ado, let's get this show on the road.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's been a little bit of a layover, but Tales of the Sails has returned with episode 5, which I've decided to call High Seas Quarantine. We're all stuck in our respective locations, but that's not going to stop us from podcasting and giving you something fun to listen to. Broadcasting from my bunker up here in the Northeast, this is Tom Chairborne Mullane. And I'm joined by the Pennsylvania contingent, Glenn Commandant Van Meter. Say hi, Glenn.
Hi, but I am from Maryland.
Are you though? I feel like your heart is in Pennsylvania. I feel like I know better where you're from.
Just because there's a lot of Amish in Pennsylvania doesn't mean that I can't live south of the border.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. I don't want to tell you how to live your life. You run a farm, you know more than me. We have Tyler, time-traveling pirate Stone. Say hi, Tyler.
Hello, I am actually from Pennsylvania.
Oh, sweet. Okay, so you're more Glenn than Glenn is. All right, and we're also joined by the man of many talents and many hobbies from Firelock Games, Mike Tunez. So, Mike, say hello.
How's it going, guys?
So Mike has a lot of...
Is he also from Pennsylvania?
Is he from Pennsylvania?
Yeah, born and raised.
That can't be real. No. I feel like you have to be from Florida. No.
I mean, why not, right?
My mind's just blown right now. I don't know. I feel like my entire world's been shattered. All right, so we are going to go around the table here, the metaphorical table, which we'll show you how to access later, and talk about what we've been up to hobby and game-wise. So our basic questions are posted on the show notes for us to look at. So we're going to ask how you've been keeping busy, what is the best way to keep yourself motivated or entertained while not meeting up with people, and what are you most looking forward to when whatever restrictions you are subject to in whatever part of the country you are, whether it's Pennsylvania or not Pennsylvania. What are you going to do when those things stop happening? So I'm going to start. I have been enjoying the wonders of remote teaching for the past 4 weeks in New York State. Unlike other far more forward-thinking states who have already canceled school for the remainder of the year, New York likes to play it fast and loose. So right now it's going to be going until May 15th, and then we're going to go back. But who knows?
Impressive. Even Florida has canceled school for the rest of the year. So
you can't often say that Florida has the heads up on New York. I feel like, I don't know, maybe New York just likes suspense. But I'm still technically going back with all my students in May. I do honestly hope, for the sake of the seniors, that they find a way to get them to graduation, or at least to get as a graduation ceremony. I feel bummed for them if they can't. I have been painting quite a bit in front of my computer. I have to hold office hours with students once an hour. I have an hour every day and 5 hours a week total. So I basically log on. I have a bunch of bored kids that show me TikToks of themselves. I got a really great movie sent to me by a student who decided to splice videos of himself dunking on a child's basketball hoop superimposed next to videos of the actual dunks that he was trying to recreate. And that was a graded assignment. And Chris got full credit. But I think the kids are having fun, but based on some of the stuff that they're submitting, it appears that they are bored out of their minds, and I'm worried that whatever insane things they've invented to keep themselves entertained are going to get increasingly dangerous. So I'm hoping this doesn't go on for too much longer. I got my sloop out. I've been playing with the airbrush and messing with that now that it's warm enough to actually leave the window open, because I've been too lazy to build a paint box, which is probably bad for my, respiratory health. But I feel like if I aim it out the window, it's kind of fine. I've chatted with a bunch of different students, and I've been doing a lot of paint and chats. So I'm looking for friends of mine on Facebook, people that are painting, and I'll post Google Hangouts, and we'll just kind of sit and chat. And I find that it helps motivate me to get stuff painted because I will sit for longer, paint more, and be more interested in the whole thing if I have an opportunity to actually do that. So I've been painting with my brother-in-law, George, who has quite the setup, and he's currently modeling his Team Yankee style World War III troops. But all my friends have actually, they managed to buy their Firelock stuff before this whole thing happened, and they're looking into buying more of it because now they have an opportunity to actually paint it. So I have like, I think 5 or 6 friends that have bought full boxes, and they're going to start building up collections, which is pretty great. So I'm psyched to have people to play with, and I've been looking around online for all the different terrain tutorials. I'm going to start working on building some piers next because I actually got a big 3x3 part land, part sea mat for the Caribbean. I'm excited to actually add stuff to. So that's what I've been doing. And Glenn is going to talk to us about how beers make us stronger. So Glenn, tell us what you've been up to for the last couple weeks.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I work biotech, and as an essential employee that actually has to physically show up at a building, we've gone through a quarantine period twice already. And that's been fun. The first one, unfortunately, I found out that I could have been exposed the day before I was supposed to leave for Cold Wars, which is why I canceled everything. And I apologize to everyone who was going to go to Cold Wars and compete in the tournaments. But I simply couldn't see putting HMGS membership at risk, considering that if coronavirus had been there, it probably would have taken out about half the society. So,
well, I'll tell a brief story here on behalf of my friend Preston, who's another writer at No Dice No Glory. Preston did not have the benefit of somebody as forward-thinking and kind as Glenn and Tyler, who both made an effort to post notifications to people that had registered for the tournament to let people know. Preston was heading down for a different tournament, which shall remain nameless, and he left at 3 a.m., and he got down there only to find that it had been canceled, and Preston was not pleased. So just a note for TOs, people will understand if there's extenuating circumstances as long as you just give them the opportunity to get some notice. So, like, I know we're bummed, but I'm glad you guys were able to actually get the word out and make sure that you didn't get other people sick.
Yeah.
Yep. So, in lieu of that, I have completed so much terrain in the last few weeks. That's mostly what I've been able to work on, because I'm still working crazy hours at work, and we have the farm where it's spring and we're planting everything. The sheep have been sheared, etc. Essentially, I've just been insanely busy with all of that. So I've just finished up the terrain that I was already working on for the tournaments. So at this point, I'm good to host a tournament as soon as this lockdown comes off and we can get a game store that's actually open.
What is the busiest time of the year for the farm anyway? Is it now? Is it spring?
For us, yeah, just because it's a lot of, like, baby sheep, baby goats, chickens, everything's babies right now, plus we're planting. Throughout the rest of the year, it's like slowly harvesting all the things as they come in, but...
And just like maintaining stuff.
Yeah. Or whatever crazy project, somebody else comes up with that I have to do.
So what terrain have you finished specifically? Because you mentioned a bunch that you were working on. So what is done? What is in progress? And what is hoped for?
Well, I've got... my weakness has always been trees and hills, so I finally have, like, the 300 palm trees done. And I was very lucky in that my gaming club came up, like, the weekend before everything went to complete crap. And they helped me do a lot of stuff. We built some piers, so we've got some of those. We have a bunch of hills, a ton of palm trees, a ton of jungle underbrush. I'm working on some islands and, like, just rocky areas for more of the sea battles. I have a ton of scatter terrain that's going out. Some beautiful pieces by Micro Art Studios. Just want to give them a quick shout out. I'm trying to paint them. And
I have a quick terrain-related question from Mike. So Rufus isn't here, but Rufus's terrain
Thank
is
goodness.
awesome. And like he made a bunch of rocks, right? And the rocks are like made of like a foamy material, and they're super light. They're amazingly durable, and they look terrific. Like, what did he make those out of?
So
feel like-
those are the ones that the first time we went over to Beast of War in preparation for our visit, they made an entire thing of scenery for all of our games. And there's a tutorial on their site. It's on you have to be on the backstage thing, but they have this whole tutorial on how it's done. And what it is, it's upholstery foam.
Oh wow! Okay.
So it's just upholstery foam. I think that it's you can get it in varying types of thicknesses, and it's you just kind of pluck it out and to make the rocky bits, right? Just pluck little bits out, and then it's like some kind of mixture of PVA glue and sand over the top, and then it can be painted, and you could smush it around and stuff, and it holds models well. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Rufus came out pretty good. Not as good as the one that the guys at Beast of War did, but still pretty good.
I thought they were awesome. I thought they were really good.
that sounds like a trouble to work with, though.
It's actually pretty easy. Especially the carving portion, right? Where if you worked with like I just did some hills this weekend. The pink foam, right? Just like insulation foam.
That's what I usually use.
You got to cut that and sand it, and kind of get the details. It's kind of a lot of work to get them to look nice, and then painting and flocking them is the easy part. So with these, you just kind of do it all you don't need any tools. You can do it all by hand. Just rip pieces out, pull little bits to make it look rocky, and it's pretty easy.
Huh.
I've never tried it. I haven't found good foam for it here. Obviously, I think the guys in the UK just have a better foam for it. The one Rufus had but the foam itself that they had over there was a lot nicer. Worked a lot better for it.
I'll keep an eye out then. I'll look around.
Yeah.
Tyler, according to the show notes, you've had a delicious quarantine so far.
Yeah, I've been sitting around eating. That's what's been keeping me busy,
All right.
out of trouble. So I've probably gained, 5 pounds in quarantine. 3 pounds of that is hopefully just the beard. But
I threw my
otherwise,
scale out, man. I don't want to see that until quarantine's over.
I don't know that I could see a scale at this point anyway. But no, I've been working on getting the pile of oak and iron stuff painted that came in just before everything went haywire.
And I've seen how you're painting your sails too, so I'm sure that's not going quickly.
It is not going quickly.
It looks great. But it does look very time consuming.
Yeah, so for anyone who hasn't been on the Oak and Iron group where I've posted this stuff, and I highly recommend jumping on there. It's pretty much just base coating the sails, and then all of the stitching that goes in there. I am sitting there with a very fine brush and painting in all the ribbing in the sails one at a time, and it takes me longer to do the sails than it does to do the hull. And someone in the group just recently posted that they replaced all of their masts with, I assume, brass wire and did paper sails. And I'm like, oh, that would have been so much easier.
Oh, but paper sails. I hate paper sails.
I saw one of the pictures where they had the tiny little flags, and I was like, wow. I was just, they look so darn good.
I don't know if you guys saw the one I shared today. I know it's slightly off topic, but we commissioned Model J Ship. If you're not familiar with Model J Ship, you should check him out on Facebook. I think he's got a website as well. And he's just basically he's been around since Sails of Glory came out, for as far as I know. And I've seen his work on the Sails of Glory ships previously, and then he's branched out and done pretty much every other line of sailing game miniatures you could think of in smaller scales. And then he just fully rigs them. He rebuilds the rigging from scratch and replaces parts and bits and does things. And I mean, it just looks incredible. So there's pictures on there now I put them in the Blood and Plunder and the Oak and Iron page. And I think Alex may have shared them on the main Facebook page. But man, he just went all out. He did some water bases, and I mean, fully rigged, standing rigging, running rigging, everything. They look pretty impressive. I can't wait to get them in person, but unfortunately, he's not able to ship them because he's in Spain and the post office there is locked down. So hopefully soon I'll have them. But anyway, I apologize. Carry on.
No, it's okay.
That's what I had. Painting the oak and iron stuff and running through the solo play rules for Blood and Plunder, which might be a better segue for Mike.
Yeah, so tell us how you design these and just kind of describe for people that haven't seen them yet, like what they look like, how they work.
Sure. So I'll start with. So I've been looking at different games that have solo play rules. I've been going and downloading and buying every solo play system I could find, and just kind of looking for what works and trying it out, especially if it's a system I already knew. Just running through it, kind of seeing what I've never actually played a solo game before. Not tabletop anyway. So running through that, finding a lot of interesting stuff, and really it's just about trying to get a matrix that makes sense and isn't too complicated. I found a lot of the ones I played were just too complicated, too many different things to reference. And then
it's very short. Simple. It's very simple. Like as I was looking through it, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And the thing it reminded me of, if any of you have ever played like X-Wing, they had this campaign that came out. I think it's called Heroes of the Aturi Cluster, where like they had a little table to determine like what a TIE fighter would do. And like in this, like if this is the circumstance, this is what happens. And it's not very complex, but it does lead the NPC player, as it were, to like behave in a way that makes sense.
Right. Yeah,
and that's creates a challenge for the player.
And that's the thing I was trying to go for too. I wanted it to be a little bit random and unpredictable. In a way that you, kind of like you're sitting down. I kind of, it feels like when you play it, it kind of feels like you're in a tournament. You're sitting down and playing against somebody that you have never seen before or met before, and have no idea what they're going to do, and they end up doing some stuff that are like, well, I didn't expect that, whether for better or worse. But so I tried to kind of capture that feeling about it, and I hope I did. The way it's basically going to work, so we have the advantage of having an activation system that uses cards, which is really good for this sort of thing, because then there's a lot of factors to work with. We have the number on the card, we have the training level, we have the suit on the card. So all that stuff gives us really simple ways to execute on what that unit might do, right? And then also based on since we have strike points in the game, so the more if the force is losing, the opposing force is more likely based on the card drawn to do things like fall back and regroup and rally and stuff like that. Whereas if they're winning, they might be a little more bold and aggressive and pursue you a little more and things like that. And it's all on a pretty straightforward chart. It kind of goes on an ABC system. You're either in category A, B, or C, and then and then based on that, there's a list of actions the unit will take in order. And then there's some slight modifiers based on certain units. Obviously, like a gun crew is not just going to run out and charge you. So things like that.
Right.
But I mean, that's the gist of it. And so I think it's mostly done now, at least done enough that we can put it out there. So we're kind of just polishing it up right now, and hopefully we'll have it out by what's the day? Wednesday, Thursday? I lost track already. Hopefully it's out by the end of the week. Okay. Yeah, so it may not be out by Friday, but possibly Saturday or Monday or something. I don't know.
I will definitely do an article and post about how it plays, so people get a feel for it. Because I have my whole dining room downstairs set up, so I'll
excellent, yeah. And it'll be a work in progress. So I'm sure it won't be perfect because I've only been working on it for like a week, so it's But I mean, people. This is the kind of thing people need now. So I mean, better something that's mostly done, and you can at least try. Than nothing.
No, I think you did a great job of kind of coming up with more of an AI, because obviously it's not going to come up with a bunch of crazy tactics that a player across from you is going to come up with. But I think you did a good job of coming up with a system where it'll automate things so that it'll work. Unfortunately, like with all AIs, though, there's ways to game it if you don't understand how it works. But you also kind of can't, thanks to the randomness of the cards.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's a nice thing I found when I was playing, is that I found myself surprised every once in a while, and I took gambles that didn't end up paying off. And so I was surprised that I was having fun playing it. Honestly, I didn't think solo gaming would be something I would enjoy, but it's actually not been bad, and I probably would never have done it or tried it had not been for this whole lockdown situation.
So the other thing that I think I wouldn't have tried if it weren't for the lockdown situation, Glenn and I tried, but between your adorable 2-year-old asking for her 4th helping of French fries and my terrible computer connection, it didn't work the way I was hoping it would, but it looked beautiful, which is Tabletop Simulator. So Tabletop Simulator is available on Steam. It's a $20 download, and there's tons of workshopped content. I saw tons of stuff on there. There's like Hero Quest. I don't know if you remember that game. I loved that game when I was a kid.
I love that game.
There's there's like Scurvy Dice that you guys have up there, and then there's also
we didn't do that one actually. Somebody else did it.
Somebody else did it.
They did an awesome job.
They just crowdsourced it. Cool. So and it's all free. So like once you paid for the simulator, there's a bunch of content that people have made that you just have available, and Oak and Iron is included.
Which I want to point out about the simulator. If you're paying the full $20 price, you're doing it wrong. Look around. That thing is on discount all over the place.
Well, I paid $20 because I'm stupid. I was too lazy to look around.
What kind of pirate are you? Don't pirate. Oh my god.
I've been aware of Tabletop Simulator for quite some time. They actually reached out to us a long time ago, and we were sort of talking to them about, this was maybe 2 years ago. We were sort of talking about doing Blood and Plunder on there. It never really went anywhere. I kind of wish it did now. That's actually one of the few games I haven't been able to on there, is Blood and Plunder. But a lot more games are popping up every day, it looks like. Because there's a few games that I have that I look for, like, that I haven't been able to find. In the last week or so, they've been popping up. But during this quarantine is the first time I've actually played a game on there. I've tried it out and messed with it. I've played quite a few now. So at this point, I'm up to, like, let me see, 3. I've played like 7 games total. Mostly Oak and Iron. I've dabbled in a couple other things, but mostly Oak and Iron. But every game I've played so far has gone well. Once you're kind of messing with it, you kind of get comfortable. You almost forget you're playing over the computer if you're on voice chat with somebody, and you're using the little mouse to like point at stuff on the table and roll that, and you're doing a lot of these things subconsciously. You don't even realize it, So it's kind of an interesting experience. But I've been enjoying it a lot so far. We've been tweaking the Oak and Iron little by little. We actually tonight just added a free rotate where you can rotate the ships in 1 degree increments if you select them, which is, in my opinion, so far the biggest limitation of it so far. The 15 degree turning that's in the thing, that you can't turn less than 15 degrees at a time. So you can't. Sometimes you need that slight little nudge to stay in formation or just to get the right angle. So now you can do that. You can fine tune the pivoting on it.
That's great.
So it's been going surprisingly well. All the games I've played have been really fun, and it feels like I'm playing in person with somebody. I've got to play with a bunch of my friends in the UK and across the country that I would not otherwise have been able to play against. So I played with Mitch the other night. Actually, showed him how to do it.
Mitch.
And I crushed him also, by the way. I'm going to point that out. So
good.
Mitch needs to be crushed once in a while.
Yeah. And just a quick side note on that, actually, we've I think probably all aware of it already, but so we've been working on an Oak and Iron campaign system, and we're going to put out a light version of it. Probably around the same time we put the solo rules for Blood and Plunder out, and we're going to run an online campaign. So anybody who wants to get involved, go to the Oak and Iron Facebook page, or you could go to the Facebook group rather, And you could also go to the forum on our website, or I think Mitch talked about putting it up on No Dice, No Glory also.
Yeah.
So any of these places, you'll probably be able to find information and sign up and join in on the fun. So it's going to kind of be a beta test of the campaign system, but it's designed by Nate Zettel, who did the Blood and Plunder one, which if you've ever played the Blood and Plunder one, it works really well. And it's not exact same as that one, but you could see that there's a similar design behind it. So I think it's going to work really well.
Well, very cool. Now there's other stuff coming up for Firelock, and so we were looking before we got on with you at a preview for the next expansion. Do we want to close with that and talk about the fire starters first?
It's whatever you guys want to do. I'm good with whatever.
Let's talk about the fire starters. So they're like I chipped in for them. I got a bunch of natives.
Sure.
I got like 3 or 4 boxes of them or whatever. Cool. So like just talk about what each of them are and how that'll be working.
Sure. So the fire starters have been we funded them a couple weeks ago now, I think, maybe 3 weeks ago. So we've been cranking them out. We've got the English just got finalized tonight. The Indian fighters, nice. And then the Canadian militia was finalized like a week and a half ago. And so now all that's left to do is 3 sculpts for the Braves, and it'll be wrapped up. So assuming we don't hit any issues on production, which we shouldn't, unless my mold maker catches the virus, which hopefully he won't. He's isolating and he works from home anyway, so he should be fine. We should have those suckers ready to ship probably the very beginning of May. So
okay,
I'm looking forward to it because man, the sculpts are coming out really good. We have a new sculptor, by the way. We had a new hire at Firelock right before, of course, last week of February. So right before this whole thing hit. It's the worst timing ever to hire a new person, but he's been working out great, thankfully. His name is Daniel, and he's our full-time sculptor now. So now we have a full-time round-the-clock sculptor, and he's been doing a pretty incredible job. So I can't wait for everybody to see all the models that come out of this fire starter. I think it's going to be. I might try to, since we have a lot of time on our hands, I might try to squeeze in an extra unit in there and see if we can get away with it.
What are you thinking?
Make the most of it. Well, there's another Native American unit that'll round out the North American natives pretty well. At least you'll have a couple unit options so that you could play them as a faction.
I was going to ask, wasn't there originally a bonus goal with the Native Americans? Are you talking about just doing that anyway? Well,
yeah, I'm thinking we might be able to. It's anything like that is up in the air kind of right now, just because of everything. I mean, our direct sales have been okay, thankfully, but honestly, everything outside of that has stopped completely. So our budget is tight right now, and we have definitely been affected by this thing, especially in the fact that this was supposed to be the time where we're really hyping Oak and Iron and getting ready to launch that next Kickstarter, which I think was gonna, if I remember correctly, it was like we would basically be like maybe 2 weeks away from launch of the Kickstarter right now.
So let me ask
it's hard to tell because I've lost track of time. But it's 2-3 weeks. We would have been 2-3 weeks away from the launch of the Kickstarter. So a lot of excitement, a lot of stuff we could have been using to kind of really get ourselves out there that is now kind of shot dead in the water.
So let me ask a quick question of you.
Thankfully, but yeah.
So you mentioned that you're still doing like direct sales and stuff. So for people that love the game and have been thinking about buying models, is this a good time to do it?
It's a great time, sure. It's a great time to get anything we still have in stock. We actually just ran out of dice for Oak and Iron today. So again, Oak and Iron it's been selling pretty well considering, but we were hoping to have been able to reorder by now because since I made the grievous error of significantly lowering the amount of stuff we ordered on the initial order, just so we could make sure it got out faster, which I guess was good and bad in a way. But because of that, we were expecting to be able to reorder by now. We were hoping to be high off of sales at Adepticon and having hype for the game launching and it being in distribution worldwide by now, but as we all know, none of that has happened.
So are we
one of
able to
our-
order direct order? So for people
Yes,
that didn't
yes.
do the
Sorry.
Kickstarter,
I'm
for people that didn't do the
rambling.
Kickstarter, can we order it from you now directly, or we got to wait until the new
Yeah,
stock?
you can. We've been shipping it. It's like I said. So that's why we're out of dice, because we've been shipping it. We've been selling it quite a bit on our website. It is available. You can buy anything that's on our site now that shows is in stock.
Cool.
So you can go in there and buy stuff. We have 2 people at the warehouse. I haven't been there. I go in once a week to sign some checks, and then that's it. But everybody's mostly working from home. But we have 2 warehouse people who are staying in the warehouse working. They stay. Our warehouse is fairly large, so they're able to stay pretty far apart from each other. You know, they're not communing in any areas or anything, so it's they're working safely. So they're not going to infect you with anything you buy or anything. So, and they're going to be fine. So, we are business as usual as far as our web store goes.
Talk to us about Queen Anne's War. So, like, talk about like what time period is this, and like what new factions are people going to see?
Right. So Queen Anne's War is pretty much going to cover. It's kind of covering King William's War a little bit as well. You're getting some stuff that starts to appear toward the later end of the 17th century, and go up to the beginning of the 18th. So you're pretty much looking like probably, I would say 1690 to 1715, more or less. So this is supposed to be. So this was a project that was slated to be released probably around February, but because of some of the issues we had on the tail end of Oak and Iron, we weren't able to really focus on it and get it out on time. So we kind of just put it on the back burner, and we're, now that we've got time to work on stuff, we've come back to it. So we're not able to print anything right now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna release this as a PDF only release for now, just kind of like we did with the Oak and Iron cards. Which, if you haven't seen that, we've put all of the Oak and Iron cards up as PDF downloads, and in addition to that, the Admiral and the upgrade deck that we have for download have some new cards, some beta cards. But since we're now hosting PDFs on our site, we can just update them regularly. So we're waiting to see some feedback from people playing with them, and then once if we find anything doesn't really work, which so far seems like it's all been working pretty well, we'll update them as necessary, right? And then that'll lead up to eventually being able to print those and get some physical decks. So same thing with PDFs going forward. Queen Anne's War will probably be the unless somebody finishes up something else quicker, which I don't think it'll be likely right now, not least because Queen Anne's War is pretty well underway. It's just missing a few little things. And I think we can get it out right around the time we get the Firestarter models out, which is perfect because these models go right along with what's in there. So what it's going to cover is it's primarily going to cover the War of Spanish Succession, which is known as the Queen Anne's War in the American colonies. And this is the war that gives way to the golden age of piracy eventually, because all the out-of-work privateers from this conflict end up being the guys who turn pirate and invade Nassau and kind of run amok over there. So this is like the perfect kind of prequel lead up into the stuff that's going into the Kickstarter, right? And a lot of the models that are in the Kickstarter will be very appropriate for this. Like, for example, one of the things that'll be in the Kickstarter is a plastic sprue set for soldiers, right? So for like European regulars, and that'll have all kinds of options. So you can run them as more like late 17th century with bandoliers and matchlocks, or you can run them as and plug bayonets, and then you can also run them as later or as 18th century with socket bayonets and and cartouches and tricorns and whatnot, So, and as well as some grenadier options and all those things in there. So it's going to be a really cool box set, and you'll see the models, the units that those models will be useful for, will be in this expansion. You'll get regular armies because now during the War of Spanish Succession, you've got European powers sending, pretty much all of them are sending regular troops over on a regular basis to the Caribbean and North America to fight some of these battles that are happening over here. It's basically starting to get more like the later French, where it's more well known.
So how do you differentiate in game terms in Queen Anne's War between, like, let's say, like, you have the Soldaten models already, right?
Right.
And
Mhm.
you have them in this early game. So, like, what are some like fun flavor rules or small changes you made to give some differentiation to this later period?
Right. So for that, um, all the different regular soldiers like Soldaten or Soldados or Musketeers or anything, anybody's regular type soldier unit will have the option of purchasing a unit upgrade called 18th Century Reforms, and that'll let you upgrade your bayonets to socket bayonets. It will give you an improved. It'll give you an improved version of Expert Drilled, if that makes sense. So you'll be reloading faster. You'll be able to shoot. You'll be able to use your drilled shooting and reload and keep your reloads low. And some bonuses like that. There's also going to be a dedicated unit or a dedicated force for each nationality's armies, so that this is representing really true kind of professional armies that were sent from Europe, which now are starting to play a bigger role in the new world, and
Very
that'll
cool.
it'll give you opportunities to things like platoon fire and stuff like that. It's a much more smaller, elite, coordinated force than you typically see in Blood and Plunder so far.
Now here's another question about this, because I want to buy like a whole native force with the models that I got. I'm going to supplement it with whatever I can find, right? So how would the natives in this book differ from the native army in No Peace Behind the Line? Like what are some differences?
So the natives that are coming out in this book would be, these are basically post King Philip's War. So they will work for King Philip's War as well, which is in the 1670s. And it's basically from this point that the Native Americans in North America they're kind of adapting their style of warfare to the Europeans, and vice versa as well. It goes both ways. So you're starting to see some doctrinal changes. They're leaning more now on musketry than they are on their bows and such. So they're modernizing in a way, and they're adapting, and they're kind of improving. So you're going to see new units dedicated specifically to the Native Americans of North America, and you're going to see factions that go with that, and some extra flavor rules to cover specific groups like some of the ones that are already in No Peace Beyond the Line, but kind of updated versions.
So some of the North American tribes will have like special rules for a tribe.
Say that again. Sorry, you kind of broke up.
Sorry. So some of the like North American tribes will have special rules.
Right, similar to what you saw, but it's just one faction instead of multiple, and then it'll have several unit options. Like you have unit options in No Peace Beyond the Line, or rather force options.
Right.
It's the same deal. So you'll have some force options that'll give you different special rules on the units.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's going to be 2 units for now, and there's going to be an elite unit and the kind of a regular unit. And the regular unit will be the Braves that we see now, and the other one is I bring it up real quick. I don't even think I could pronounce it, but it's essentially kind of like a.
This is one that you don't want to get wrong.
Yeah,
if it's the unit, I think that it is.
It is, yes, it is. Let me see. Let me see if I can. Maybe I won't attempt this. Let me see. I'm going to look at the word. I'm not even going to try to say it without looking at it. At least pulling it up real quick. Let's see. Hang on.
I would pronounce that.
Let me see.
Of course, I'll take a shot at it.
Load now.
I mean, so to
Somebody
me
else
it reads.
Take a crack at it.
Yeah, to me it reads nieces.
That's I think how I would attempt to pronounce it. Yeah.
But
nieces.
Just for our listeners at home, it starts with a P.
Yeah.
And then it ends with nesses. So you can see how a mispronunciation of that could lead to confusion.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, if you're doing one of those puzzles where it's about tricking your brain to reading the words even though the letters are out of order, this would trick your brain.
This would be a problem, yes.
Yeah. So this was
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so this was a unit that the actual from a very specific group, but it was a cool name, and it's hard to find really good Native American names for anything, especially ones from that period. which as you've seen if you've read our books, we try to do as much as we can. So that's it's a specific group. Basically, it's just going to represent more elite fighting forces, or more veteran fighting forces among the Native Americans of North America. But they're cool. People are going to like those, I think.
No, I'm going to build a whole faction of Indians and natives and stuff. I'm going to have a blast doing that. They said you're gonna create a Kickstarter for this.
So that's the Firestarters was kind of what that was, and then from there we can expand on a couple units here and there as we go, just kind of regular releases once we get all the. After this, back to work on the Kickstarter stuff. But yeah, we're gonna have the Kickstarter stuff. So we might get some specials, depends on how the Kickstarter goes. And at this point, like I said, everything's up in the air. But stretch goals for plastic natives or plastic cavalry and things like that are within the realm of possibility. Can't promise anything right now, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
I've got to say, I am super excited for this. More professional armies, plus
Yes.
some of these units are crazy. Like every army pretty much gets access to grenadiers, and
Yes. Mm.
They're expensive at 7 points. They're veterans, muskets, bayonets, and explosives for every model.
It's actually supposed to be. It's going to be one for every 4 as usual. Still, yeah.
Oh,
That might be something I overlooked there in the early.
Yeah, you were hoping for a Swiss Family Robinson situation with some coconut bomb blend, but it's not how it works.
Yeah.
no, I was just seeing entire lines exploding.
Yeah, I was rereading the rules on Granados and stuff like that the other night, and I was like, wow, these are really. I should have actually learned the rules for these.
Fire pots too. Ooh.
The fire pots too. Yeah, I mean, like we were laughing because I was telling Glenn like that I had a box of the privateers, and I was trying to figure out what kind of list I wanted to make out of them before I started to paint them. And Glenn said, "Well, Tom, like, what's your play style?" And then he thought about it for a second before answering. He goes, "Is it losing? Is losing your play style?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think it is." So I'm gonna find some more
I'm
creative
just going
ways to
off the
lose.
record. Just going off your records.
No, it's a completely reasonable. I didn't argue with you. Because you're right. I still have not won a game of this, despite the fact that I've done like so many demos. So I keep losing.
It's because you're not using explosives.
Yes, that's what it was.
That's what it is. That's what you're missing.
It was a secret ingredient all along.
That or a real beard.
Yeah,
that could be a.
I look like a murder hobo if I don't shave my beard. I just can't do it. I'm the only non-bearded person on this podcast right now. I feel obligated to, stick up for disrespected beardless folks everywhere.
So, anyways, I was excited about the Grenadiers. I'm excited about the 18th century reforms because there's some pretty interesting army-style actions you can get.
Yeah.
I know some of the armies are talking about having like platoon units where your commander can give everybody orders. That's looking really promising.
Yeah, that's kind of the platoon actions I was talking about. So when you're playing, which is especially cool when because we've played it a little bit. When you play it at army scale, especially, it's really cool. It feels if you feel like you could feel the difference of a professional army compared to like a group of ragtag militia or buccaneers or something.
I think this would pair pretty well with the big army rules, right? Because in No Peace Behind the Line, it gives you the rules for how to scale up to bigger forces. There he is. And Craig's back.
Hallelujah.
Craig ran away from us.
Thanks for nothing, Craig.
I'm really sorry that Craig's a rascal, and I'm not the most tech-savvy person in the world. I'm only a social studies teacher. I don't know coding. So we were finishing up talking about solo play regarding Queen Anne's War, and Mike was talking about the different PDFs and stuff that they're releasing as a way to kind of like show people the products before we print things, because we can't print right now, but
yeah,
we will eventually.
Yeah, We can't print right now for a multitude of reasons. So, not least of which, honestly, is that it's so much of a gamble right now to invest any kind of money in anything. So if we put a bunch of money in, I don't want to be able to not pay somebody because I did a print run and it's not selling because the economy is totally tanked and nobody has money. So
Or pay them and then they close down before they deliver product.
Yeah, or there's that, which we've already had some similar experiences. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but a lot of people owe us money that aren't paying us. So it makes this is a challenging time. I'll tell you, it's not just for us, for everybody. So,
well, I hope like everybody else that you guys are able to weather the storm because it's a great game and it's a cool product.
Yeah, so far I think we're okay as long as you guys keep buying stuff, like you should be all right. So we're selling enough to keep the lights on and people paid and nobody's been furloughed or anything like that. Thankfully, we've been able to maintain our full staff, and which is not very big to begin with. We're hanging in there. So and I think we're adapting, throwing the oak and iron on there. We're trying to keep the community alive virtually, and we're doing these PDF things. As long as that keeps working out for us, and we got these fire starters coming out, which once you guys see these models, I know we're sell them like crazy. They're freaking awesome. I think they're some of the best models we've done. So
I'm hopefully we can see you guys at Historicon. I'm hoping that this doesn't extend that long because I definitely want to run.
Right, but I unfortunately doubt it very much. I hope that I'm wrong though. Really hope I'm wrong because first of all I'm just dying to go somewhere that isn't my house. So. I don't care. Even Pennsylvania sounds pretty good right now.
At least I heard. I think Cold Wars next year is in Ocean City, so you could just boat on up for that one.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That's the wrong time of year, though. I won't be there. So.
I don't blame you. It still gets cold.
It does. Yeah. It does.
But speaking of the sculptor and Kickstarter, is that Daniel working on that for the Kickstarter models?
Yeah, he is. So we've got the first initial 6. It's looking like it's going to be 6 per sprue right now. The initial 6 poses that are going to be in the sprue. With the basic tricorns and stuff. You'll probably, once we figure out when we're going to do Kickstarter, we get our dates reset again. You'll start to see lots of previews and renders of new characters and new units. The plastic ship, we've got the hull for it. Now we just got to finish putting the rigging together because we're trying to get much more detailed all these things since we have the ability to do it in plastic. Why not? Shoot for the moon. So there's going to be lots of parts for those. So we're trying to take our time and get those right. So
are you still looking to make the ship so that it can make a bunch of different ships, or is it looking more like one specific ship now?
It'll at least be one. Multiple rigs are going to be stretch goals because it's basically it's new molds,
right?
To create the new parts. But that is the plan. I think we'll hit those stretch goals for sure. So those are definite stretch goals that will be in there. The different parts for the ship. Now I think there may be. It depends how it ends up getting laid out in the much space we have in it. There could be 2 rigs in there. It's likely that you'll be able to do a brigantine or a sloop out of the base kit, and then we'll add to it based on how the project goes. So,
wow, and there's going to be 2 of those ships in the Kickstarter?
Yes. So there's going to be 2 of them in the course, right? Yeah.
Whew. Sounds like some serious value.
That's what we're hoping for. We're doing our best. So we'll see what happens. But I think we're going to be able to get a really cool box together. We've got most of the assets. So everything that's going in the box is pretty much done, except for the sales on that. So the core box is pretty much set and good to go. The exception of the sales for that one. So we'll see how much we can squeeze into. I'm always trying to cram in as much stuff as I can, and without sacrificing quality. So we'll see what we get in there. But I think you can at least know you're going to get 2 sloops at the very least. It's definitely going to be in the box.
Very cool.
Yeah. So we'll see.
That is going to be awesome because the starter box is going to be Blackbeard and Lieutenant Maynard, correct? Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be set around Blackbeard's last battle, right? one of the few actual battles in the golden age of piracy, or the later end of the golden age. One of the few actual battles where there was actual fight, I should say.
Yes.
So, great. It was a good. And it's one that everybody knows. And, I think it was the logical choice. I think the right amount of people too. It was very small. There was less than 20 on each side, so we're pretty much going to have pretty good representation of the battle in that box.
Mm.
I'm looking forward to seeing this stuff in action. I feel like, I actually still haven't played a sea battle. I've only ever played the land battles, and I've been looking over the rules and stuff. I have my ship, but yeah, I want to play Smoke and Iron. I want to play on Tabletop Simulator, and I'm going to find ways to start keeping up with people, and even if I can't get out of my house.
Join in on that campaign. It's going to be all, it's not going to be anything super serious. It's just going to, get in there, build your fleet, play some rounds. It's a good way to learn the game, get the community started with something fun in this horrible time. And I think it'll be, get involved if you can. And we're going to have a few of our quartermasters volunteering to help us run it. And what we'll do is we're going to set like a grand admiral on each faction, right? We're going to make pirates their own faction for this one, just to keep things simple. And we'll say it's like the Empire of Nassau or something. And it's going to be fun. So participate in it and tell your friends. And it's completely free, too. You don't have to actually buy anything. That's another cool thing. Rules are online. You can try the game. Well, you have to buy Tabletop Simulator. But if you already have Tabletop Simulator, you don't have to buy anything.
And just remember, it shouldn't cost $20.
Apparently, yeah. Apparently, it should be. I don't know. What did you get it for, Glenn?
Steam has been running it on a rotating sale for 50% off, but then also if you go to like g2a.com, I think they've got it for 30 to 50% off depending on the week, etc. Cool. So I think it was like $15 for me because I missed the Steam sale.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah,
I don't remember what it was when I got it.
$20 is not that bad,
No, it really isn't. I just wanted to give Tom some crap.
Yeah, I know. I deserve it.
Especially right now, where right now it really gets you back into gaming. Like it's basically either solo gaming. I've seen people doing some virtual like gaming over Zoom, where they're kind of just saying, "All right, move my guy 12 inches over there" or something. Then,
yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah, I saw a few of those. I watched them.
Which that seems like a lot more involved. Tabletop Simulator would definitely be. It's definitely a simpler way to do it than that.
It's a theoretically perfect environment if you want to run double-blind BattleTech, but that's a different thing.
There is fog of war stuff in there as well that you can turn on, so you actually can't see where your opponent's at. It's pretty cool. There's just some interesting things in there for sure. It's a really well thought out software. I have to say, I gotta give credit where credit's due. They've done a good job with it. Once you're in there and you're really playing, you kind of get immersed in it. I
just need to experiment with it more. I think I need somebody to kind of walk me through a game.
Yeah,
and now that my connection's working, I'll try hitting up Glenn again. We'll try it out.
I will say the first time will feel clunky, and then once you the trick is to actually just play a game. Just sit through a game, and once you've played through a game, you're gonna feel comfortable.
And speaking of, if you're listening to this and you haven't played it but sounds interesting, please reach out on either the Facebook page or to your local Codor Master if you know them, and most of us will be happy to run you through it. No problem.
Yeah, that's good. Maybe we should put up a post somewhere and just put a list of people's names who are willing to run demos and schedule games with people if they want to try it. Because sometimes it can be a little tricky to find somebody to play with, especially if it's weird to just say, "Hey, anybody want to play?" and nobody may not be available when you're posting.
Yeah, but I'd say post is sticky.
Thanks for the idea. Sure. I'll reach out and see who's willing to do that.
I think the thing I'm most excited about for the Tabletop Simulator is it's a one-time in for $20, and you can have as many ships as you want. So as a scenario player, Texel, 100 to a side, just go nuts.
Oh well, especially now that Mike's added the infinite ships off to the one side.
Yes. Well, I didn't do it. I should also give credit where credit is due. Danielle and Lillian especially have Lillian Figueroa, our graphic artist and designer. she's really been cranking away on that and doing a great job of putting everything together in there. She has no idea what she was doing from the beginning and just kind of did research online, looked it up, and just kind of, that's not really her background, but she's done a really good job with it. It looks really nice and polished.
It's beautiful. It really
Yeah.
is. That was the first comment I made when it loaded the screen.
Yeah, and it's her artwork to begin with, all the stuff there, all the graphics, and except the map, which was Chris Strecker, the guy who did Scurvy Dice, and our beautiful resin mat. So he's been the guy who makes all our pretty water, putting there and poking art and everything else.
All right. Well, it's technically a school night for me, and I have to get up early for a meeting because I think I have a parent who's going to yell at me for something. I don't know what it is, but it's always a fun surprise. So I will say thank you very much to Mike for being willing to come on and join us from quarantine down in Florida. I had no idea that he was actually Pennsylvanian at heart, and that Glenn is just a fake Pennsylvanian who's not from Pennsylvania.
Your whole world's just out of alignment, man.
It's just shattered. I'm going to sit in the corner and cry while eating a cheeseburger. So, yeah, thank you so much. We will try to do another one of these next month and update you on whatever solo play we've been up to, what we've been painting, what we've been ordering. I'm going to be ordering more stuff from you, Mike, because it's my birthday tomorrow. So
happy
if
birthday.
I have a good excuse to order something, then I'm going to do that. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good deal.
I'll leave it to Glenn to take us out because last time I just cut him off, and I'm not going to do that again.
It's all good. Does anybody have anything else before I roll us out of here?
Nope.
That's it.
All right.
Fireloggames.com. Go buy stuff.
Yes. Go support Mike. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for listening to Tales of the Sale with our crazy crew, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for joining the show tonight. Remember to follow us on Twitter at No Dice, No Glory, and keep the conversation going on NoDiceNoGlory.com, now featuring our own message boards. Have a great night, everybody.